Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Touchline Banter, your favorite footy podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ruben Dario Chavez Jr., aka Ray Chava on Twitter, and with me, as always, my co-host, Cheyenne Karimi. We've been a little inconsistent for the people, Cheyenne. We've got them feeling like Manchester City fans. They don't know what product they're going to get.
I knew you were going to say that.
What product they're going to get and when it's going to show up. But you know what? I think we got some credit in the bank. But are you excited to kind of get back on the horse and start talking about some stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Always, just apologies to our loyal subscribers if we have any yet, and our viewers. I know some people do watch us, but yeah, I mean, it's all about consistency and content. Obviously, as Ruben has mentioned in previous episodes, we work in the service industry. So if you're a server and our Christmas time, it sucks. You work like doubles every single day almost, and lots of shifts, and obviously life and stuff going on. But we are definitely going to be more consistent. We're going to be back on the game, back on the horse, just like Ruben says, and we're going to talk a lot about how Pep Guardiola is a fraud and sucks, and Manchester City is terrible and they're bad.
Yeah, I mean,
we are not biased.
No, not at all. This is clear, unbiased analysis. Yeah, so we'll start there. Just to give a heads up on this episode, it's not going to be really a preview heavy thing. We're not breaking things down in extreme amounts like we did in some of the recent episodes, like the El Clasico stuff. This is going to be a bit more free flowing. Just allow us to get kind of back in the swing of things. There's been a lot of storylines that we haven't had a chance to talk about just because of like what Cheyenne said. We've been working both with the Canadian Premier League and then with our service jobs, and then obviously like family obligations get in the way. But the best place to start it off, we both mentioned Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, confirmed fraud. I mean, things were bad, and then they beat Nottingham Forest, and everyone's like, maybe this is the little platform.
Forest is a good team.
Yeah,
according to the table.
According to the table, yeah. No, they are a good team. I'm not going to be dismissive. No, they've been really good, and Nuno's been a great coach for them. But it did feel like a platform because before that, they were on a run that basically started against Tottenham in the cup, where they lost to Tottenham, lost to Bournemouth, lost to Sporting, lost to Brighton, lost to Spurs again in the league. They drew Feyenoord after being up 3-0. They lost to Liverpool on my birthday. Actually, what a great gift from
Happy
Liverpool.
Birthday, late birthday to Ruben, guys. Shout out Ruben. It was his birthday a few weeks ago.
Yeah, happy late birthday to me. Then they beat Forest. Then they drew Palace, and then yesterday they lost 2-0 to Juventus. So it's not just the slide. It's not a blip. I know, like, we both consume a lot of content. I don't know if you've seen it in the same way I have in some content. Everyone's been trying to. It's just a blip. Like, he'll figure his way out of it. Yeah. It's a blip. It's the injuries. It's this. There's always an excuse. 1 win in 10 matches.
That's wild.
It's It's the worst. It's not just the worst span he's had at Manchester City. It's his worst span ever. Like, it is like we've never seen a Pep Guardiola team do this poorly.
Never.
So
it's terrible.
What stands out to you in terms of like the games that you have watched and what's going on? Because it seems like even the fans are getting all of those plastic fans that are used to only winning suddenly Pep out. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, if speaking of plastic fans, I'm not going to take credit for this because I didn't know there's a footy like kind of she's a sports like broadcaster, Caroline Shved. I think she's Canadian. I follow her on Instagram. She posted like this Instagram post that apparently the City fans tried to leave early in yesterday's game against Juventus. On the loudspeaker, the announcer was like, "You cannot leave yet. You have to stay until the allotted time where fans are allowed to leave." So talk about plastic fans.
That's just tough.
Round of applause. As far as what stuck out, there's 2 major things for me. I'm going to start with on the field. On the field, I just think they lack any sort of clinical edge. There's any sort of real creativity. And they basically look vulnerable to any sort of counterattack, even from like the Richmond Hill High School team down the street. Like, I get it. Rodri is the best center defensive mid in the world. Maybe he shouldn't have won the Ballon d'Or, but anyway, he's the best center defensive mid in the world. I get it. 100% I get it. And I get it. The squad has injuries. The squad is aging, which is really, really showing it. Like, holy Kyle Walker, man, just leave football before it leaves you. My God. Dude,
it's been bad,
right? Anyway, but they, especially in the Liverpool game, like any time there was any sort of counterattack, it was just blitz after blitz. And In the Juve game yesterday, it was the same thing. Against Crystal Palace, against Feyenoord, that's also what I really saw as well. They just look incredibly fragile. And I get it. Kovacic is also not playing. He's tried Rico Lewis, all that, I get it. Kovacic is not that type of player. Rico Lewis, I don't get why he's so big on Rico Lewis. I'm not that high on Rico Lewis. Like, I get it. He scored in the Palace game, I believe it was, and then got sent off. But like, I don't see the whole
match performance.
Yeah, I don't see the Rico Lewis hype. Like Haaland looks a shell of himself. All the top people, like Savinho's just been a flop, which like I did not see that coming. Mateus Nunes is whoa. Like I like that signing, and damn, like they just look terrible. I just look lack of creativity, lack of clinicalness on the pitch, very fragile, and off the pitch it is getting to Pep. It is getting to him.
I mean, yeah, we weren't really even talking during the scratching his face thing, and he was like, all that nonsense.
But yeah, it was like really, really bad. Like he's coming out and like just scratching his face and saying in the press conference, like I want to harm myself, and then there's him with the Liverpool fans jarring him, and they're like, he's saying like, oh, I have 6 Premier League titles, and then there was a clip of him like yelling at some Liverpool fan on the street who was just like bashing him. And him coming out in yesterday's game and saying that, like, oh, I'm so proud of my players. And I was listening to ESPN FC today, and they were saying, like, proud of what? Last season?
Yeah. So it's been pretty bad. And like you're saying, he's kind of playing the old Mourinho hits where it's like reminding people of how successful he's been with the titles, and he hasn't started to slate his players yet. I don't know if that can be in his wheelhouse, because usually Mourinho's like, they haven't brought in the players that I want or whatever. Yeah. And given what City is accused of, I don't think Pep can say that they haven't brought in the players that he wants. Do you think that very much like Gareth Southgate, he's saying like, how can we possibly win without Calvin Phillips? Maybe they shouldn't have let him go.
Hey, Calvin Phillips, England legend, didn't play a single minute, but he's apparently a legend for England.
But yeah, so for me, on the pitch, you kind of nailed it. Like, I know Rodri's important. Obviously, he's the best at his position, which is center defensive mid. And I was having this argument with my friend Jake a couple weeks ago. This is before the even more recent slide, where he was like, yeah, obviously Rodri's important. That injury hurts. Like, Kovacic, I'm like, okay, but like, if Pep is the greatest manager in the world, which is what some people try to say that he is, right? A lot of people try to say Pep is the best manager to have ever coached. If one player can dismantle his system so thoroughly, then where is the criticism for that? Where is because I listen to like tactics podcasts, I listen to a lot of stuff, and everyone's saying like, if he just played a bit more defensive, if he just put more of a shield back there, but he can't. And we've criticized him for this before in the past. He's so dogmatic to his ideals and his like idea of what not only football should be, but the only way that it should be expressed, that it's like, it's hampering him. It's clearly affecting the team because they're not being able to put out the best plan. Like they're just playing, and you nailed it. They're not finishing their chances, which is like huge, and they're surrendering so many chances. If you look at the stats, like the amount of opportunities and goals they're conceding on the break is enormous, and a big part of it is age. Like De Bruyne looks like a shell of himself more often than not, and Walker is a pace merchant who's losing his pace. Like it's tough for Kyle Walker, and even in the game yesterday, he had a simple pass to play to De Bruyne and couldn't play it. So it's like it's looking bad, and it doesn't help that guys like Jeremy Doku's good, but I don't think he's the finished article yet. Jack Grealish has also been hurt, in and out, inconsistent. And then, who's the other one? Oh, Phil Foden has been nothing. Like, Phil Foden, for everything that people have been saying, and I did love during the Euros where Manchester City fans were saying, well, you've got to take Bellingham out of the middle, put Foden through there because Foden's way better than Jude, and, like, you just got to put Anthony Gordon on. No, who should have been dropped is Foden, and, yeah, put Anthony Gordon on the left, put somebody who can actually play out there, because Phil Foden's doing nothing. Like, Phil Foden is doing nothing. If you look at his stats, I think he has 1 assist this year. Like, he is a net negative out there right now. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or if it's just like because the system is broken down, he can't excel outside the system, which happens to Pep Guardiola players. So on the pitch, they're conceding a lot of chances. They're not defending well. And yeah, off the pitch, I think what frustrates me sometimes about the discourse around Pep Guardiola is that seemingly you can't criticize him just because he created this style that everybody loves. And it's like the Johan Cruyff tree and like, total football and all this stuff. And suddenly he's immune to criticism. If Mourinho was doing this same thing with a squad that had this much investment and they were on a 10-game streak where they had only won one game in the Premier League, people would be calling for his head and people would be saying it's because he plays these outdated tactics, because he doesn't change, it's because he's not adapting. Okay, adapting isn't just one way. Adapting isn't like, okay, well, you can only play negative, learn how to play offensively. Adapting is, okay, you literally cannot play offensively because you're too weak defensively. So adapt. Shore up the defense and become a counterattacking team. That sounds crazy to ask of a Pep team, but if you are as good a manager as you purport to be, why is that not on the table? And we talked about it in the Ruben Amorim chat because we touched on Pep there too. Ferguson's last title was not with a dream team United squad. Ferguson's last title was not, they're playing the best football you've ever seen. No, he got results. He got the job done. And they advanced and they won that title and they left on a high. So to me, it's rotten there in Manchester City. Like, none of the results in isolation are bad. They drew to Crystal Palace a man down. Spurs, ironically enough, Spurs are the kind of team that gives them trouble because they like to hit out on the break. They're a very offensive team. And Liverpool are the most informed team in Europe, I would say. Like, they're clearly the best team playing right now. And to lose to them, okay, it's not the end of the world. I would say that they never really looked like winning that game, but still, you ran into a better team. It's just when you take the whole body of work. I don't know what people... I don't know. I guess, I hope that this goes down as a black mark in his coaching career because... And we're probably going to mention Real... in a bit, since this is a very loose podcast where we just kind of get to express some stuff. Yeah, we're just flowing and express kind of what we want to say. But with all the criticism Ancelotti's been getting, not just from fans, but like abroad, and all the criticism Madrid's been getting about being so weak this season when they've been dealing with injuries, where's that criticism for Manchester City? And where's that criticism for Pep in particular? How come when Ancelotti or Klopp or Mourinho or whoever goes on a slide, everyone's like, well, are they as good of a manager as we think? But because it's Pep Guardiola, who I will remind you, has never had to bring a team out of a bad situation. He's always gone to teams that were ready-made. The one that you could say, okay, he took over Barcelona. It just so happens that he had the best academy class that they'll ever put out. So can he get out of this slide? I don't know. It's looking bad, though, and that's what I have to say about it mostly, is that I hope that some of this finally goes back on Pep Guardiola and we really do a severe analysis of the trophies are good, but if it does come out through these charges that a lot of those are tainted, even if they're not stripped, even if all they get is a points deduction, let's say they don't even get relegated. If all he has to bolster him as a manager is the fact that he invented a system and he's got all these trophies through a nefarious means, can he be considered one of the greatest managers of all time? I don't think so.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question. I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of your points there. I tend to stay off Twitter in general, or X, whatever you want to call it.
X, the everything platform, yeah.
I just don't like the woke Twitter football chat. Kind of pisses me off. It enraged a lot of people. But yeah, I do see criticism. I will say this. I do agree with you.
He's being critiqued. He's being critiqued.
Yeah, but it's obviously nowhere near. I think that's what you're getting at.
I think my larger point is he'll always get critiqued on Twitter and spaces where the common person gets to talk, because it's hey, some of it is just memes and trolling. If you're a United fan or a Liverpool fan, you're going to take this opportunity to make fun of Manchester City. And if you're a Real Madrid fan, honestly, you'll take a chance not to make fun of Manchester City. I wonder how many Real Madrid fans consider them a rival, just based on the team. But I think it's Pep Guardiola that's the rival. It's what he represents and what he's done to Real Madrid and that dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
So I think people are just like dunking on him, but so many of the football podcasts I listen to almost like stop short of just saying like I think there's criticism for his tactics, but there's not the same like okay like and I get that he has a lot of credit in the bank, but it's literally just like everyone just expects them to get out of it in a way that doesn't really make sense to me, because I'm like, what are you seeing about their performance, and what have you seen from Pep's managerial career where you think he's going to get himself out of a jam? Because I've literally never seen it.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, because like I was gonna say, actually, on the Twitterverse that I've looked at, like I actually see no criticism, and I see a lot of people saying like, oh, he's the best in the world and he's gonna get out of it and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh my god, y'all are so stupid. But when I watch like ESPN FC, obviously I don't agree with all the pundits on there, but most of them I think they have really good points, and like podcasts like The Kickoff and other ones, like The Club and whatever, like people from Britain who are actually fans of these teams and actually live there in those cities, et cetera, et cetera. There is definitely a lot of criticism. They are calling him out. They're saying his tactics are naive. He isn't setting up correctly. Why isn't he changing? What's going on? Yeah, absolutely, especially from City fans, which they aren't going to do this, but there isn't that rhetoric of should he be sacked? Is he really like the man for the job when the team is down and out and they're in a rut? Is he really the guy to take them out of? Because my question is to everybody watching and to you, has he ever done this? Yeah. Has he ever been in a tough situation when he loses his most important player, his squad is aging, other teams around him are performing better, and he's pulled his team out of a rut and said, we'll galvanize the troops and we'll get it together? What I'm seeing is, yes, obviously Mourinho has done this as well and whatever, but Mourinho oftentimes would pull his teams out of situations, or at least win a trophy, or do something well. But him, saying like that whole scratching himself, like I want it to be like, Pep, are we okay? Like, is everything fine? Do you want to talk? Like, sharing is good. Like, let's talk about our feelings. But him scratching his face, and like, I want to harm myself, and like, I know he's a bit of a nut, and every person who is so good at something is like a little bit crazy in that sense. You got to be if you're gonna be that good. But like, yeah, even like jarring at the Liverpool fans when they're calling him to be sacked and saying, I have 6 titles. And there was a clip of him in the street with the fan. And again, just like I said, to repeat myself, like, I'm very proud. Like, I get he's shielding his players and he's doing that. But like, really, like, are you okay, Pep? Like, is everything fine? Like, is it? And this is the point that I forgot to mention. The rhetoric that I'm hearing from a lot of British podcasts and stuff that I follow, not necessarily on the mainstream media, is that they think, and I want to get your thought on this, because I do agree, actually. They think that the charges, people like Pep, City, the players in the back room, they know what's going to happen, and they think it's bad, and they think that's what's affecting them.
I heard this take, actually, on the Football Ramble, which I listened to today. I think there's definitely a chance. Like, what I will say is, I'm skeptical to believe that they've heard like, oh, like the FA or whatever independent regulator has determined that you're going to get relegated to League Two,
relegated all the way down.
You know what I mean? Like, I have a hard time believing that. What I do believe is they're probably sensing that the initial response is going to be a poor one, and all of that is creating an atmosphere in the club, which is like, this is hanging over your head, kind of like the sword of Damascus, if you want to say it, or like if you want a less obscure reference, like they're Wile E. Coyote and there's an Acme anvil over their head. Like, it feels like something disastrous is going to happen, and so they're playing like that. It is a lot of outside pressure, and again, one reason why I think Mourinho does so well whenever he does start to like batten down the hatches and create that us versus them mentality is because in a different world, and I mean this like, with a soft spot in my heart for Mourinho is a dictator. Like, in a different world where he doesn't find football, he is like a leader. Like, if he's born, I don't want to say a country because I don't want to slate a country. I'll slate my own country. If he's born in Guatemala, there's a chance that he rises as a populist right-wing like person, because he's so impassioned and so good at crafting this, like, it's us versus them. Like, no one out there respects us and they don't know what it's like to be us. And he's all about being strong and fierce, and like,
he likes his soldiers.
Exactly. Like, he does not don't let these detractors win. They're weak and they don't know what they're talking about. So Pep doesn't do that because, again, I think Pep has largely been the benefit of, like, he's been a media darling. When he came in and he took over the team and he basically shuffled out Deco and Ronaldinho and made Messi the focal point and brought in all those people like Iniesta and Busquets and Xavi, et cetera, et cetera. And because of what Barcelona represented at the time and what they still represent to some people, but like if you're a person with critical thinking, you see that they are far from what your idea of Barcelona is. Like, I'm sorry. It's just like, that's my biggest pet peeve when people act like they still have UNICEF on the front of their jerseys and they're still like this team that plays all academy players. No, they're playing academy players now because they're broke, because they tried to buy a title and it did not work the way that they wanted to. Or else Coutinho would still be there, Dembele would still be there, Griezmann would still be there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever. So, but
we'll talk about Barcelona in a bit.
Yeah, but all of this, like, he had the positive media there, and then he goes to Bayern and takes over a team that is ready to take the next step. Never wins a Champions League title with them, it must be said, despite Bayern being a Champions League regular and being a team that, in the short span before he came, like, had success in the Champions League, right? So. And because Bayern's such a big team, and like I feel like the Bundesliga, people don't really follow it closely enough to make Bayern like a villain. Whereas like, and the Bundesliga also has the good publicity of like all the teams are fan owned, and there's only a certain level of private ownership that's even allowed. So it felt traditional to his roots. Then he takes the Manchester City job, which on its face is sports washing. Whatever you have to say about, like, I'm not trying to slate the fans. I know there are plenty of Manchester City fans that have been there the whole time and they deserve the success, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a sports washing vehicle. There's a reason why there's the investment that there is. But they built this club, they built this pedestal for him to enact his ideas on, and he's done it. And he's brought the best football that Manchester City has ever seen, through some means that might get them hammered back. But he's never had to be the villain, really. Because even though Manchester City, the club, is the villain, again, I've never seen people extend that to mean him. In people's minds, Pep is still the same guy who was speaking out for Catalan. He's the same guy who says that he won't manage the Spanish team because of his beliefs in terms of a free Catalonia, et cetera, et cetera. But, and this is where I think there's a hypocrisy, if you believe that he is that person, then why is he taking money from the Saudis? Why is he taking money from this regime that has a dark history with human rights issues and free speech and all this stuff? So he's not this perfect arbiter. And now that the football's fallen away, I wonder what the backlash is going to be. Because if he leaves this project in a worse place than when he found it, in terms of they get relegated or whatever, or the players are just kind of busted, and whoever, I have a true sympathy for whoever is going to follow Pep Guardiola, because it's not going to be as good. But I don't know if he can rally the troops, because he's never been that kind of guy. And even to get back to the initial point, like, Zlatan criticized him and Eto'o criticized him for being kind of a coward and not being direct and not having the dignity to talk to them in certain ways. And maybe he's gotten better as he's gotten older and more of an experienced manager. But is he the kind of guy that galvanizes a locker room and an us versus them mentality? I don't know. He seems kind of like a stats guy, where like a you just keep doing the process the same guy. And the process is good, but when the process isn't working, like, you kind of have to just get the guys to, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the pros and the Joes, right? Like, that's what it becomes. And like, not everybody wants to take it there, but that's why coaches like Ancelotti have had the success that they have. That's why Mourinho's had the success that they have. Tactics can only get you so far. And it's crazy that he's brought Manchester City their first European title. So they can, in fact, sing champions of Europe, but they're doing really badly right now in the table, and their next games are not easy. There's a chance they could fall out. I'm not saying it's likely. They probably will make the playoff.
Yeah.
Who they get matched with and what that'll mean for them, I don't know. It's tough. Ultimately, in my opinion, Pep is when I see the scratches and the tension in his face, think about what Mourinho said, that if you love what you do, you don't lose your hair. Pep doesn't love football. And that's why he's lost all his hair. Like,
oh my God. I just remembered that. I saw that on Instagram like a few days ago.
Yeah, man. It's I just I don't know. I don't know if you have more to say.
We can wrap this up. The only one point I wanted to make is that like there's a lot of naivety, and I think it goes back to your points of like just he's so hell bent on his tactics and he won't adjust anything. Like, bro, fucking Ancelotti's playing Valverde at right back right now. He's like, bro, fuck it, like whatever works. Like at this point, yeah, like. Obviously, like people, even Klopp, who plays his system, figures things out, rotates players, like realizes what works and what doesn't. For God's sakes, I mean, according to ESPN, when I'm looking at the starting lineup, why is Grealish and Gundogan the duo or whatever? I know it adjusts like in play, and his system is never actually what it is on paper. But like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
There's so much naivety, and credit to Thiago Motta because like they played a great defensive game. Yes, they did like concede chances.
Yeah, like we should give a shout out to
they conceded chances, and City did have some chances. Gundogan had a chance, etc. But like they really didn't look any threatening at all. And to your point on their fixtures, they play United.
That's where I wanted to leave it at too. Yeah,
like
if Ruben Amorim pulls off like 2 wins in a row against them, oh my God!
After like what's going on right now with United, like goddamn, like my
they're
God.
Also a mess. Yeah,
and then they have Villa, and then Everton, and then Leicester, and then like they have like West Ham, and then some other team, and then when you get to the Champions League, they play PSG, which like that I could see going either way. Club Brugge, no, I mean you'd think they'd win.
You would think they would beat Club Brugge, but the thing is, both PSG is outside of the Champions League places right now. They're technically if it ended right now, they would be eliminated without even a chance at the playoff. I think Brugge is still in a position where they would do a playoff, but they're close to the bubble as well. So both of those teams are going to be looking for something. And again, like some of the aura is a very popular word in this era. But some of the aura of Manchester City has been stripped away for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
I think the point I can leave it on is that, like, if this continues, and I think it will, show me a reason why it's going to change. Unless they go and spend a bunch of money, which they probably will. That's what I think they will do. And if the form continues and they don't really make it out of the Champions League, even qualify to the next round, and they finish like 5th or 6th or whatever, I think this would be a huge, huge indictment on Pep's resume. That when the going got tough, you sat on your stool and basically just shit everywhere, and just everything was just garbage. You did nothing.
That's poetry right there.
That's how I'm going to end on that point. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say.
No. I think Jamie Carragher would agree with you. He said that he thinks City won't even make the Champions League next year. Like that they're not going to finish in the places.
Okay, but Jamie Carragher. I tried to credit Jamie Carragher and for saying something about Arteta being Mourinho, and then after I was like, what? Like, wait, what am I reaching to? And I don't know. I don't like.
Do you want to stay with the Premier League, or do you want to talk about Barcelona or Real Madrid? Because in terms of I'll give the choices out explicitly. In the Premier League, we either talk about Liverpool, which we touched on being the most informed team, and they have a pretty sizable gap on Man City. They're 8 points ahead, and they're 6 points ahead of Arsenal right now with a game in hand. Or we could talk about the team that they're only 4 points ahead with a game in hand, Chelsea, who has genuinely been, I think, the surprise team. Not like Forest have been the surprise team. Forest are in 5th, and they're doing very well. But
we should talk about Forest.
of the teams that have a chance at making the Champions League and also potentially making a push for the title, Chelsea have been the surprise, right? So do you want to talk about Liverpool or Chelsea, or do you want to go over to Real Madrid and by nature, Barcelona? Those kind of go hand in hand.
Or we could even do United, but I think we talked about United last episode, so let's touch on them later. Maybe we do positive. Let's do a little Liverpool. We'll see if we have time for Chelsea, maybe, because we're not negative. We like to be positive people.
Okay. Liverpool's really impressed me. I think that's what happened.
We called it. No, we didn't.
We thought they were going to miss industry, and it turns out they have a bunch of industry.
Yeah.
And one thing I do worry about, or who I worry for, is Darwin Nunez, because he seems increasingly like the odd man out because of his chaos and his inability to finish. But who I'm not worried about is Luis Diaz, who apparently is like just the best number 9 on the planet. He's crazy. He's crazy. And when they play him through the middle and they can fit in Hakpo and Salah with him and stuff, it's a lethal front three. And like again, I don't think we definitely didn't talk about it in the fallout of the Liverpool game against Madrid. They looked comfortable, like that. They looked very comfortable.
Yeah,
I would argue they haven't looked uncomfortable very many games that they've played recently. So yeah, I'm impressed with how it's gone, and even their goalkeeper, Alisson's missed some games, and their backup has been great.
Yeah,
it's been great.
He's the best backup in the world, if not 100% the Premier League.
For sure, the Premier League. It depends on if you think Lunin still has some magic, but he's definitely the best backup in the Premier League and probably the world. Honestly, like he's been
on form,
definitely. For sure, on form. It's not even a question, and I do think he's going to get a move, right? Because Liverpool have been linked with Mamardashvili, I think, or that contract's already kind of signed, and he's just playing a year away or something to that effect.
You think he gets a move though? Because I heard Alisson is probably on the way out.
Even if they ship out Alisson, like if I'm him, it's the same thing with Lunin. Like I respected that he stayed because Madrid kind of gave him an offer, but I'll be honest with you, if the Euros doesn't happen this past year and Lunin's the last thing that people saw of him was the Champions League run and how he helped Madrid to the league, he gets a move and he's a number 1 somewhere. But because the Euros was so bad for Ukraine and he got benched after that first game, I think that dropped his stock to the level where Madrid could be like, hey, look, like we know you want to go somewhere, we know you want to play. But like Courtois is getting older too, and he's had his injury history, so there's opportunities. We'll put you in the cups here and there, whatever, right? That may have been a more attractive prospect to him than like playing for a mid-table side in La Liga, or even maybe a relegation fight in the Premier League, because a lot of teams do seem to have their goalkeepers kind of set. Like there's not a lot of. So even if Alisson gets moved on, I know that there's been rumors that Chelsea might want to get rid of Sanchez and stuff, and I don't see why they wouldn't try to push in for him if he does really want to angle for a move. But I've been impressed with Arne Slot and how he's had his team set up, and just how the players have responded to the post Klopp era. Well, what about you? What has stuck out for you?
Yeah, I can't say that I haven't been surprised by how well they've done. I don't think I necessarily expected them to be this good and be the best team in Europe and be leading the English Premier League. I did see them as a bit of a quote unquote dark horse, whatever you want to call it, or one of my picks to win the Premier League season if City fell off, given all the stuff that was going on with the charges and et cetera, et cetera. But I think, to put it simply, Slot has taken a squad that basically had all the players there that were good, and they reinvested a little bit with the likes of like Szoboszlai and McAllister and Gravenberch and even Darwin Nunez, who hasn't hit the ground running necessarily too well. But I think it kind of was the case who might be going on with Pep and City. I think that they just needed a new voice, and we've kind of echoed this a little bit throughout. But I think, Klopp is the smart man. I think he knew it, and I would say even a bit more to Pep's system, because his system needs constant refreshing of players. But I think Klopp even more needs refreshing because of that heavy metal, constant gegenpress, run, the whole thing. Like they're running like 2 or 3 times more than average teams are. I think, they refreshed the squad, but at the same time, I think he's smart enough to know that, maybe like the players needed a new voice. And that's what, credit to him. Like he empowered Slot. Like there's the video of him at the last game. He's like, they're singing the Slot song or whatever. And he's the one leading the microphone. I think, like Slot looks like a great manager. I don't know if this is like just the one season thing. Obviously we have to see over time what happens. A lot of times, like, managers come in and the first season is bliss and everything's great. And then after that, it goes downhill, or it works the other way. The first season is garbage and then it gets better. but yeah, he definitely elevated a lot of players, and specifically for me, Ryan Gravenberch. I did not see this at all.
You were pretty low on Gravenberch.
I did not see this.
We both were.
But I liked him out of Ajax, and he signed for Bayern, I believe, right after. I think that was his first place, and I was like, what happened? Because I liked him a lot, and I was like, I'm not sure if he's actually an 8 or a 6 or a hybrid of both, or he's still very young, can be molded to whatever. And he didn't work at Bayern, and I'm like, oh man, like that's kind of unfortunate. I did like this kid. He was a good looking player, but Slot has come in and he's been incredibly vital. Because after Fabinho, even like towards the tail end of Fabinho, like you could see when he was really costing them certain matches. And Endo's been fine. I think he hasn't really panned out the way they wanted to. I don't even know what they expected. Maybe they just expected him to be a squad player. But Gravenberch has been huge. Just the way he kind of dictates the pace of play for someone so young, just able to slow down the game, speed it up, dictate the pace. Great defensively as well, but it gives so much more leeway to players like McAllister and Szoboszlai to get forward. And then you have, just like you said it, they're playing Luis Diaz down the middle, and then you have Salah and Hakpo being fit in as well. So it's like there's so much going on there that's working well. And winning solves everything. We've seen it in many other sports. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in basketball. We've seen it in absolutely every single sport there is. Everything's going well. All the rumors of Salah leaving, they're still kind of there. And Salah has come out and had some interviews that Jamie Carragher apparently didn't like and whatever. But I just think when you look at this squad, everything is firing on all cylinders. I don't really see a specific weakness to them outside of Trent, like always. But when you have, a good defensive mid,
right back Trent Alexander.
No.
Nah.
But yeah, it just looks great. They look great. They look very, very lethal. And honestly, I'm going to go out on it and I'm going to say it. I'm sorry, Liverpool fans. I'm jinxing it. You're winning the league.
Wow. That's massive. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, just because I do think the fixture list is going to get real heavy, and we'll see how some of those squad players really do rotate. But honestly, I agree with you. Like, Gravenberch has been great. A lot of their players, like Szoboszlai, I like Szoboszlai. I liked him at the Euros, and I did think he was going to be a massive part. And he's kind of fulfilling some of that potential this season, just looking so good. And yeah, it helps when Salah has rolled back the years. Apparently, like it is, and
not just the hairline from Turkey.
It's not just the hairline from Turkey. He found the elixir of youth. It was something that we didn't mention really in the Pep thing. We took kind of a broader picture, but I agree with you. The new voice in the locker room has helped, and it's clear that Liverpool players were tired of playing heavy metal ball. Like even if they weren't always physically tired, like if their body could still handle it, mentally they were tired. Mentally they were done trying to operate at the level that that Klopp was expecting of them and like exceeding of them, right? So, yeah, I get why Carragher's upset at Mo Salah's comments, but Salah wants a contract, and this will probably be his last big deal. Like, his last potential big deal at a club that's still playing in Europe, right? Like maybe even if he signs a shorter term deal, he could still get a big payday from Saudi. But depending on the length of the deal and where he's going to go, this could be his last big payday. So for Salah's point, he's just like, I'm still playing great. I want to get paid. And we'll see. Because I think on the Liverpool side, you do kind of start to think like, well, he's getting older. Like, this is a good season. But eventually there comes a fall off. There is a cliff. There is a cliff. Where is the cliff, right?
He's 32. So,
yeah. So, but yeah. I don't have much else to say. I don't know if they're going to win the league. I do think it's going to be really tough. And it's funny because I feel like Liverpool fans are always the most pessimistic about their team. I have a Liverpool fan that I work with, and I'm like, yeah, you guys looking great. Like, like you're top of the league. It's like, yeah, but, like still this and still that. And like, it's going to get like tricky. And then I think results like the 3-3 against Newcastle are like, this team isn't unbeatable. Like, this team isn't.
Yeah.
This isn't vintage Liverpool the way that it isn't vintage Man City. Like both both of the squads are in a bit of a transition. The difference is Liverpool was set up a little better for this part of transition, and Man City has had their share of injuries, which makes this transition a bit harder. But
in their style of play, like Liverpool, I always see as beatable. I just think that system of always like high flying players, and when you push so many players up, and when you have like attacking like wing backs like Robertson and Trent, I just think they're always beatable, even at their prime. And I think it's been shown with like not just Real Madrid, but other teams have done it. But just quickly on my point on why I think they're going to win the league, I just don't see based off of form any team. I get the fixtures is a very important point. Absolutely. When the going gets tough and the congestion starts coming in, that is a very good point. And it's going to be interesting to see. But I just don't see even Chelsea, who looks great. I don't see Arsenal coming really any close to Liverpool. I don't see City coming anywhere near close to Liverpool, even with investment. That's why I'm so high on them. And honestly, like given the way they play a fun style. Slot seems like a fun manager, and you guys know what we think of Pep. It'd be nice for Liverpool to have another trophy. Like
I would be thrilled for Liverpool to win and be able to celebrate this one in front of the fans. I even think I wouldn't be surprised if they included Klopp or at least extended an invite for him to be a part of the celebration, so he could really say goodbye to the fans after a league win, because he didn't get to do that during the COVID year in the way that I'm sure he would like to and the people would have enjoyed. I think I give more credence to Arsenal and Chelsea just because Arsenal play a very controlled style, and yes, they haven't been on form. They're pretty patchy, but I don't know, their boring way of playing can sometimes be more of a stable rock than the way Liverpool plays. And for Chelsea, the thing that I will say is you talk about squad depth when the fixture list gets projected. They have 3 squads. Their B team is playing in the Europa Conference League, just staying sharp in case someone gets injured and there's minutes in the first 11. So if injuries do start to hit Liverpool, if injuries continue to kind of hit Arsenal and City, I think Chelsea will be in prime position to just pick up the little pieces to kind of make a run at it.
100%.
So, but it is definitely an exciting title race for once in a long time. I can say we're in a real race. Despite there being a bit of a gap right now, like you said, all it takes is Liverpool to lose one here, lose one there, and then we're back in the thick of it, right? So it's interesting.
Let's not have another Gerrard slip.
Ooh. Oh my God, damn! Liverpool fans are mad now. They're very sad.
Oh boy.
All right, we're at about 45-ish minutes, give or take a couple, because we had to edit the recording. You'll see it. My camera got a little messed up for a bit, and we had to kind of pocket over 5 minutes of that. But do you want to keep talking about the Premier League teams, or do you want to talk about?
No, we can go over. Yeah, let's go over to Real Madrid, Barcelona.
You want to start with Real Madrid or Barcelona?
Yeah, let's do Real Madrid first. Yeah.
All right. Well, Real Madrid have still been inconsistent, but I don't know about you. The last time we talked about Real Madrid, I think we were both very tense and angry,
to say the least,
frustrated, and it was a bit of a venting sesh. Now they're still in second place in the league. They have a game in hand. They're 2 points behind Barcelona. The form is still inconsistent. I mean, they beat Girona, but they lost to Athletic Club. They lost to Liverpool, obviously, as we said. And they beat Atalanta on Tuesday, but it certainly wasn't the easiest game. It's not that it wasn't convincing. It's just that the same things you can say about City. Defensively right now, we seem very fragile. So where are you at? Because I'm actually more positive than I was a couple weeks ago. Definitely more so. And so, but I'm still cautiously optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, things have calmed. We were in some stormy waters. We broke some plates, on the boat. There was some damage. We're gonna have to call the repair guy. But we're finding a clearer path now, and it's looking better. Well, the Atalanta game was to me, I'll put it the same way that I'll put the Dortmund Barcelona game. Both Dortmund and Barcelona and Atalanta could have scored more goals than what they scored on the sheet. I think, absolutely. We're vulnerable at the back. We have no one. Like, I'm not going to cry injury. I'm not, because everybody cries injury. But everybody's injured. Everybody is injured.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to put it to you this way. I got FC25. It was on sale. And they
yeah,
have this,
I'm thinking of buying that too. Actually, that's funny.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun so far. I started career mode, and they had this feature like you can start on the day in real life, like of the fixture that's going on. And then I started it, and I boot the game, and then it's like, what the hell? Like, you have in the back, obviously the left back is fine. You know, we have Mendy and
Mendy got hurt again during.
Mendy got hurt though. There you go. Mendy got hurt, and
Fran Garcia.
Fran Garcia, thank you. Rudiger's been there. He's the only actual center back we have, like actual like first team center back.
Like that's his position.
Yeah, like I know Raul Asensio has been good in playing, and Vallejo is on the bench. Vallejo is not a Real Madrid player and is there to pick up a salary. At right back we have no one. Valverde's been playing there. Camavinga has recently picked up a knock. Mbappe just recently, I'm reading right now that apparently he has some sort of knock as well. Yeah. So, and you know, Vinny's just been coming back into the squad. So the squad is starting to get the players back again. We know that Militao is out, but you know, I'm not going to cry injury because you manage, you deal with it. You make your bet. They decided not to make really any big signings, not to get any more defensive coverage, at least in the summer. They're saying they're not going to do it in the winter either. So you make your bet, you got to lay in it. But it's kind of calming. It seems like Mbappe is starting to kind of find his footing a little bit. Jude Bellingham has been one who I've noticed a lot, has been playing a lot better. Luka Modric has also had some good results. Apparently he got like doping tested after one game or something.
It was the game before. It was the Girona game.
The Girona game. Yeah, things are starting to calm. I do think we're still defensively fragile. I do think that we need investment, but they're not going to do it unless like they get some free transfer or something going really creative or something like that. But I think, like, you know, obviously when everything's horrible, you know, everyone starts criticizing Mbappe, which we did, and we justifiably, you know, he deserved to be criticized, and there were still chances that he misses, especially in the Athletic Bilbao game. But they're looking better. I'm still cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I will end this off by saying that everybody who thought Hansi Flick was the savior and this is Barcelona's season and everything's going well. We played 16 games. You played 17. It's 36 to 38 points. We win the game in hand. We go top of the league. And you guys might not even be able to register Dani Olmo, which we talked about earlier. So that's my spiel.
Yeah. I always see the tweet or like a little meme being like, this is Barcelona's best season in years. And they're still only 2 points ahead of Real Madrid in the middle of their worst season, like in years. So it's just funny that there are levels. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like the injuries are a concern. It seems like Alaba is trending towards being back. We'll see when that happens and how he looks. If Alaba is back, it just provides a bit more flexibility in terms of like he can play right back, he can play out on the wings. You know what I mean? Like, and like even if you wanted to start him at left back and have Asensio in the middle, or like Asensio himself has also played right back in the youth team setup, right? And I think Alaba's one of those coaches on the field where like I love Rudiger. I love the way that he plays. I love that he plays with some fierceness and animosity and like real like trying to find the line. But we need we haven't had a captain like Sergio Ramos in a while where he's like barking orders and keeping everybody in line back there. And I think that Alaba's closer to that in terms of the leadership than Rudiger is. So having Alaba in the back would actually make me feel a lot more secure of putting a young player out on the wing. I think it would help Fran a lot because like Mendy's been poor. I've tried to defend Mendy, but Jesus, man, the last couple games before he got injured, honestly, him being injured, I'm sad for him because I don't want to wish injuries on any player, especially ones that play for my team. But God, like Fran Garcia, that he should be starting every single game because he's the better option. He's good defensively.
He's too sporadic. That's my problem with Mendy.
Oh yeah, and offensively, he's just not offering anything. Like if you're not going to offer as much offensively, you have to be a rock defensively, and he hasn't been. He's given the ball away in very dangerous areas. He's had some real bad games. Whereas Fran is always going to offer you that offensive threat. He's fast down the flank. He supports Vinicius well, and the defense has been improving. So I do think if we get Alaba back, that kind of makes me feel better about the whole team, just because like he can kind of align them a little more as long as he's up to speed. It would be nice if they got somebody in the winter transfer window. I don't really see it happening. Like you said, it would have to be a pretty creative deal, one where they're not really overpaying or taking too much. I do think they're going to ultimately be content with waiting for the summer, because I do think Trent is going to be brought over. However we feel about what that'll make this team, it makes too much sense not to. Liverpool hasn't extended him. He's good friends with Jude, like another Englishman on the squad, just to make him feel a little more comfortable. And he's a creative player and one of the best right backs in the world on his day. And we need somebody behind Carvajal. Like that's just the beginning and the end of it. And especially since it looks like now Davies is going to re-sign with Bayern. I've been hearing more and more traction that might actually get done. If they're not going to get Davies, they're definitely going to get Trent. Like for me, it was always one or the other. I'd never lived in a world where I thought they were going to get both, but they're not going to miss out on both. I don't think Perez would like that. But yeah, so defensively we look fragile, but offensively I'm impressed with how they've looked. Like for me, Mbappe's gotten more confidence back. He's still missing some chances, but the game against Atalanta was indicative of where his head is at. The goal that he scored was vintage Mbappe. The way he took it, the touch, the space that he found, the way that he struck the ball and put it right where he wanted it to. I was like, that's Mbappe. Okay, cool. And then there was a moment later on in the game, he could have passed it to Vinicius. That was probably the right play, to pass it and not be as selfish. But in a way, he's a number 9. You want your number 9 to be looking for goal. He took a really good shot and stung the palms of the goalie. I'm not mad of a player who already scored, who we're trying to get to be back on form and be confident, to take that shot. I want you to take that shot, because if you don't take that shot, what's going through your head? Like, are you still nervous about messing up? I would rather I had a coach when I played football in high school, not like the football we're talking about, but American football. He would always say, if you're going to make a mistake, make it at 100 miles an hour. He just didn't want people to be scared or timid or unsure. Like, if you're already going to fuck up, you might as well do it you might as well fuck up in the best possible way you can. Give it your all in the fuck up. So that's what I saw out of Mbappe there. It was just peak Real Madrid this season, that he scores a goal, looks really good, and then has to come off with a hamstring injury like a few minutes later. But the latest report that I saw today, it's only expecting him to be out for 10-ish days. So not the worst. And again, we're kind of covered in the fact that you can just put Bellingham back in that tip of the diamond kind of attacking threat. I've been impressed with Brahim Diaz. He's been great.
Yeah.
Like the pass that he threaded for that goal to Mbappe was nice. Valverde's been great. Like everybody's been really good that we've wanted to be good. And Jude, I think he's always been good, but now Ancelotti, maybe through trial and error, maybe through just the circumstances, he's been allowing Jude to be more up there in the box and whatever. Like Jude has more coverage. I do think, despite the fact that Jude can play all over the midfield, especially in the setup of this team where we don't have a lot of presence in the box, it's good to let Jude kind of roam free and be up there, because he clearly can get on the end of balls. Like, how many times off of a set piece or a corner or a cross in the box does it go off of his foot or his head and he just happens to be in the right spot? He knows how to position himself. So cautiously optimistic for sure. In the league, it's really just going to come down to that return fixture in Barcelona, I think. I don't think Barcelona is going to stay perfect the whole way through. I think we're going to drop points here and there. Like we're as if unless we start to go on unbelievable form, but it'll be the return fixture in Barcelona that I think is going to decide the league. And I'm excited for that, because I back our boys to do it. Yeah. And that's what you want. But yeah, cautiously optimistic. That game against Atalanta made me feel better, despite some of the goals that we conceded to let Atalanta get back into it. We'll see. And I do want to give a hand clap to Asensio. Like, Raul looks really good. He does, again, he has a little bit of Sergio Ramos in him. He wasn't letting himself get pushed around. And even in the game against Liverpool, where I would argue he was at fault for that first goal, he could have blocked it and defended a bit better. But Darwin Núñez was trying to wind him up. Darwin Núñez was trying to get under his skin and try to test this young player and really do his bit. Because, Darwin Núñez is Uruguayan. They're good at getting under people's skins, just as Luis Suarez. Like, that's a staple of South American and Central American tactics, football, whatever you want to call it. But Raul kept his head. He looked really good, and he didn't shy away from the challenge. I do think the kid has a lot of potential, and a lot of people were mad that Ancelotti rotated him for Tchouaméni in this game. I'm on the side of where I'm like, let's not put too much on this kid all at once. Let's not overcharge his legs. It's different playing in the senior side. The minutes way heavier. He has played a couple full games already. And I mean, he got brought on in the game against Atalanta. So get him this experience nice and slow, because just look at what's happening to Barcelona, man. Lamine Yamal's missed a couple games, and now they look like a horrible team.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's like that's like the best way to put it. Once your star player like starts going down for Barcelona, and Hansi Flick's this like, oh my God, he plays the high line because it's the high line. I never understood this like thing when Hansi Flick came in. Oh, he plays this like high line. It's really really impressive system, and it's really great. It's a high line. It's a very high line. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't. And luckily it worked against Real Madrid, and it's worked in other teams. But like you mentioned, I mean, I think it might be a good idea to transition over them off of that point to Barcelona off that point. But like, they look human. They look normal to me. That's the best way I can put it. They against Dortmund, especially yesterday. I mean, we just mentioned it. Real Madrid is defensively fragile. What is Barcelona?
Yeah.
Dortmund could have had 6 goals. Don't at me. Look at the game. They could have had 6 goals. I'm not joking. And that's Dortmund. It was a great team. Not the Dortmund of before. Not the Dortmund even of a few years ago. But, like, they're a solid team. But, like, they look fine to me. There's questions about the defense to me, just like we mentioned with Real Madrid. Who's in, who isn't. Like, what exactly is their best, like, lineup and everything, how it goes. Marc Casado next to Pedri has looked good. We know that Ruben doesn't like Pedri. I'm kind of like meh on Pedri as well.
The stats also don't like Pedri. Pedri doesn't do shit out there, but
the stats don't look like him. Kubarsi has looked good as like in the back, but aside from that, I haven't really been impressed with anyone else. Jules Koundé has had a bit of a resurgence. I will give them credit there. He does look like a better player to me, and the player that everybody wanted. But my question to Barcelona fans and for you, Ruben, is that when they need to balance the finances, we know that they've been needing to do it and they have to do it. And everybody, I think this whole patch of good form for everything with Barcelona and Hansi Flick has covered it up. But just like we mentioned earlier, they likely won't be able to register Dani Olmo unless they find a way to figure it out. And I want to speak to Barcelona fans again, guys, it's not ending there. There's still rumors that Frankie de Jong might need to be sold. I'm even hearing that they don't want to, but Araujo might be someone that they have to capitalize on because of his high transfer value. I'm not necessarily sure if they're going to. They might find other players to sell. But when they have to balance the books, and they're going to have to somehow, and they got to sell some players, what's this team going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. I have an article here that's basically saying that, Barca has a new deal with Nike till 2038, which will generate over €1 billion. Deco stated in an interview with Movistar that they're going to be able to register them. They've been working with new financial strategies to meet the La Liga fair play requirements and get almost registration. They do have a shot clock, like you said, because Christensen is coming back, which takes away the exception that they used to even get Olmo in the side to begin with. And Danny Olmo has a clause in his contract that will allow him to leave for free if he's not registered to the La Liga team. All this to say, yeah, this is where people can be mad, and to like take this to cross sports. Like, I'm a Yankee fan, as you can tell by the hat back there. The Yankees recently did not sign Juan Soto. He went to the Mets, and Steve Cohen spent a lot of money. And it can frustrate fans sometimes when your owners aren't spending money, but you have to remember that there's also a book balancing thing that exists in these leagues now that doesn't exist in the MLB. Wouldn't it be nice if Real Madrid could just buy everybody without having to worry about financial fair play? And that's where, as much as it's frustrating sometimes, and I will say that Madrid could afford to buy in the January transfer window, and they should, you can see why Perez kind of runs Madrid the way that he does and is a lot more cautious with spending, because we've seen the trouble that it got Barcelona into. They're still not out of this hole. And yeah, if they have to sell a Frankie de Jong just because of where his value's at, if they have to sell Jules Koundé or whoever is on the block for them in their head, that's going to make the team worse. A team that's already thin and has young players playing in key positions is going to be made weaker by it. I think they'll figure it out because La Liga will help, and they'll also just have to take some medicine. But that's why, like, in the lead up to the season, or like in the off season, I heard people saying like, well, maybe they should sell Lamine Yamal, and I told everybody that would listen, like, they'll never do that, just because like narratively it's too good. You know, when the picture of Messi like baptizing him came out and all this stuff, it's like, we're not going to sell what's the second coming of Messi in our head, right? But if they had, that would have gotten them out of the trouble completely. Like, PSG was basically willing to back up the Brinks truck and be like, we'll give you like 300 whatever, you know, like we'll pay a Saudi price for Lamine Yamal, because if you get him in your team and you get him to a big contract, he's just going to be on your squad, nailed onto the starting 11 for the next 15 years, 20 years, like depending on how long he plays. But I do think they're going to have to sell somebody, and the most likely candidates are Frankie de Jong, and if they can get anything for like Fernan Torres.
Scored like, 2 goals yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's not that he's not good. It's just literally like Fernan Torres has also been a name that's been floated out in the past to sell. They're not going to sell Pedri. They can't really sell Gavi. It becomes tricky from there. Even Rafinha, because they've tried to move Rafinha on in the past. There is a potential sell high on him because this is his best season where he's kind of reaching his promise. Is that someone that you can, like, if you're a Barcelona fan, please do comment if you want to give me your opinion. Would you feel good about them selling your best player just to balance the books to get Olmo in? Like, because Rafinha has been their best player this season.
Yeah.
But
they were so out on him.
They did not want. The only reason they weren't able to sell him is because he's like, I do not want to go. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to go. I'm not going to sign anywhere. I'm not going to take a pay cut or anything. I want to be here. I want to play for my spot. And that's the only reason he's still there, because he forced himself to stay there. But would they sell him now?
Yeah,
I don't know. Tough to say.
I think when I look at this Barcelona team, they were never as bad as they were last season. But I think, to your point you made earlier in the season, they are earlier in the episode, they are only 2 points ahead of Real Madrid in Real Madrid's supposed one of their worst seasons or one of our toughest seasons. I think they're a good team, and I think they will compete in the Champions League, and I think they will compete in La Liga. I think they have come into some good players, but I think the rhetoric that we're trying to mention here is that what is Barcelona's actual squad? What does it look like once the books are balanced? And maybe this Nike deal solves everything. Maybe Deco is right. I don't know. But
I listened to a podcast yesterday that basically broke down, like, last season. If you looked, I'm going to get the numbers wrong because part of me, I didn't write it down. I should have really written it down, but it was the Athletic podcast, the Athletic Football podcast. So do listen to it if you want the actual numbers. But basically, Barcelona last year, if you just took away their, like if you just looked at their profits, like their gross profits, they were like plus like 17 million or something, like a good healthy amount of profits. But because of the way they've structured some of their deals and the levers that they've pulled and the stuff that they still owe, they ended up with like a negative 127 balance sheet, like 227 million balance sheet last season, because they had to pay off some of that debt. They had to offset it because it was time, and it was all this stuff, all this financial stuff that I'm not as well versed in. I just like read the stuff and like hear it as it comes through. There are some people that are dedicated to like really breaking down the finances of these clubs. But it leads me to believe, like, yeah, they're not out of the woods, man. They're not out of the woods by any means. Because, like, Barcelona overspent and then they've tied their whole revenue to how good they can be in the Champions League and in the league. And they haven't been good in the years that have followed all that spending. And they use Chelsea as an example, but if you look at Barcelona, the Camp Nou, which they're renovating, holds like 90,000 people. They're playing at the Olympic Stadium, which holds like 50,000. Like, you're cutting your revenue in half. So they can't, and they haven't stopped spending. So it's like, it's financial mismanagement. Like, which, you know, sometimes it forces you into good spots. Like, we remember when Frank Lampard's Chelsea had a transfer ban, he was forced to play academy players, and they found some real talent there, which is kind of what Barcelona is having to do now. Like, I'm not saying that maybe Casado or Lamine Yamal doesn't get some burn. It's a lot different if they're successful enough to still keep on Griezmann, Coutinho, if Messi doesn't have to leave, et cetera, et cetera. This squad is not built the way that it is. It's not this young. It's not this academy focus. It would be more win now focus if the win now had paid off. It just didn't. So if I was a Barcelona fan, I would worry about how we're going to balance these books and how Olmo is going to be registered, because someone's going to have to be sacrificed. Like, someone has to be. Like, they have to.
It's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. You got to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who got it for tax fraud?
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, I think it was Wesley Snipes. Yeah. Al Capone. It wasn't the thing.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Al Capone was not caught by any of the murders or bootlegging or anything that he did. It was the IRS, because he didn't file his taxes. And let that be a lesson to all of us.
Taxes. Do your taxes, people.
I think
that was good.
We're well over the hour mark, but yeah.
We gotta cut a little bit because Ruben got the hand of God. They got God's light shining in his back.
It's because I was talking shit about Pep, and God was like, yes. So he was putting the Holy Spirit into me. He's like, continue, please. So the hope is that we'll be a lot more consistent. We're definitely gonna try to pump stuff up, and we even have planned to do the other half of the overrated 11. We're gonna do the underrated 11. Which is going to be so much more fun with some of these weeks of added info that I didn't have when I originally made that list. But yeah, we're going to keep trying to pump out content. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode that's a little more free-flowing. We haven't decided what the next episode is going to be. Honestly, depending on the results of some of these games this weekend, like if United do beat Manchester City, I can promise you there's going to be a deep dive on that game. Like that will be the thing that we talk about. If that kind of goes a more neutral way or something, then we'll have to build a different...
If it's boring, we'll talk about Juan Soto signing for the Mets.
Yeah, we'll just pivot completely. We'll talk about Juan Soto to the Mets. But yeah, we want to thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. Share with any of your friends that may like footy. And yeah, just enjoy the games this weekend and enjoy some of the matches coming up, because we're in the thick of it. The Champions League is ramping up. Leagues are ramping up. They always say you shouldn't look at the table till Christmas. Well, Christmas is 13 days away, so you can start looking at the table in a couple weeks.
It's about to get spicy.
Oh, yeah. So from me and Cheyenne, I want to say thank you, and we'll see you next time.